Everybody, SoCal Thero here, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how I do non ELS lighting in 2021. You won't see the final results in this video. I will actually be making another video for explaining carcels and showing how the carcels work, and in that video I will show you guys the end result with the non ELS lighting. So this is going to kind of be a two-part video. It's going to go over how to do the light setup on the model itself, and then in another video I will show you how the carcels work and what each thing does in the carcels to the best of my knowledge. I don't know what all the things do, but I have a good majority of it down to where I can at least tell you what it is in case you have any questions and you ask somebody that might know instead of me. So today we're going to be working back on our CVPI here that we have. Nothing has changed with it since the last video I recorded, which was the spotlight video. And actually the only thing that's changed is I put the spotlight within the hierarchy here for the model itself. So I have the spotlight here ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and choose a light bar. I'm going to save it first just to be on the safe side. So what you want to do is get a light bar on your vehicle. So I'm going to do merge. You could do import as well if it comes as a YFT file, but I prefer merge. You're gonna go to where you have your light bar. I think, I don't want to do something different, but I want to do something that's complete. Yeah, you know what? Let's just stick with something that's complete. I was gonna do a code 3 light bar, but we'll do let's see. I guess we'll do a wheel-in one, and we'll do a roof bar just to be on the safe side, so you guys understand or get the full gist of it. Guess we'll do the Liberty too. I think this is the one that my buddy Carter sent me. Let me see. Yes, I think this is the one no, this is a different one. Okay, I don't want this one, just because this one's not the best in quality there. I'm just simply undoing it, that's why that's doing that. I didn't realize this was going to be that difficult. I guess this is the one he sent me. We'll just do this one. We'll do a Boston Liberty bar here, which is how he has it set up. Let's see here. I just need the gist of... Okay, there we go. Interesting. Okay, maybe not that one then. Alright, let's get rid of that. Let's try a different one. No, I'll just pick one for my OCRP vehicles. We'll make it easy. Something I know is already set up. Actually, no, because those are not going to have that. Damn it. We'll do project requests. Let's see here. Here we go. We'll use one that I've already set up. Okay. Wheelin. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and use a bar that I've already used in the past. There we go. And this is from my FedSig integrity pack that you guys might have seen the video on. Obviously, that's not this light bar. This is a Wheel and Liberty, but it was requested in that commission. Whoops. So I know this light bar is already set up. It's not set up to this car, but it's set up to be worked on already. I don't have to go through and do a bunch of different things to make it correct. I mean, other than obviously resizing it. So I'm resizing the light bar right now just to get it to the correct size that I want it to be on in the vehicle, or at least as close as I can anyways. That looks about right. Yeah, it might be a little too oversized, but we'll live with it. That's fine. So we got the light bar on the car now. Let me see here. Let me remove the door. and the door here. Oops. Yeah, so if this was your model and you weren't doing a tutorial like me, you would want to get these mounts. First off, you would want to get the sizing correct, because obviously I don't have that correct. And then second, you want to make sure you get these mounts within the door there. Those are supposed to mount in between the door and the body of the vehicle. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm not going to go through and do all that. I mean, that's mostly cosmetics. That's nothing that we need to worry about for the sake of this tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. This is our light bar here. I've already worked with it, so it's got some different things on it already. So I have all the red lights grouped as one. Blue lights are grouped as another. These are alley lights. These are the white halogen lights in the front, the stands, the housing itself, and then the glass. So this is how I set up a non ELS light bar. So first things first is I'm going to work on the stuff that's not going to be flashing the lights themselves. So the housing and the mount here, I'm going to go ahead and mount to. And I'm going to call this, let's see, is there an extra one in here? There's not. Okay, so I'm going to call this extra one. So this is going to make it so you can turn the light on or off. And then this is the glass for the light bar, and I'm going to call this Siren Glass 1, just to match with this extra one. These are the halo lights on the front. I'm actually going to use them as takedowns and the alley lights as well. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these together. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I want to detach these, and I'm going to get some details here. I'm going to detach this. Although, now that I think about it, the spotlight has one of the lights, so I'm going to make that extra light too. Actually, can't do that because I don't have enough extra light. So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to just have it shine from the center instead for the Corona. So I am going to attach this stuff after all. So we're going to attach the alley lights to the front halogens here. I'm going to go ahead and I do this a lot just to make sure that the sizing is correct and it doesn't get thrown off for the scale here. I'm going to click over here, go to reset to world. And then sometimes this changes, sometimes it doesn't. And then I'm going to click over here for center to local access of the object. So it's going to center it between whatever's connected here, which is this. In the case of this light, it's going to be a takedown Corona that's going to be projecting out right here. And for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to just leave it where it is. Typically what you want to do is you want to move that behind the lights you want it to project from to give you the correct effect. But in the case of this tutorial, since it's mainly for non-ELS lights, not for takedowns and whatnot, we're going to go ahead and just leave that as it is. I'm going to go in and adjust this as well in the vertex mode just to make sure, I don't have it set up to be part of the takedown lights so they come on with the high beam. So I'm going to be adjusting this right now. So to get that, I just change it to the high beam ID over here. And I apply it. I do that in polygon and vertex mode. I think you only have to do it in polygon mode, but don't hold me to it. But I just do both either way. And then we're going to rename this one to Extra Light 4. So GTA knows that this is considered a high beam of sorts. The Extra Light 3 and Extra Light 4 dummies are reserved for the submarine to light up the rear. So it'll light up forward. You just have to make sure the dummy is facing the correct way. Which, if it's facing like this, it means it's projecting to the front. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And then for the glass and this as well, the housing, we're going to go ahead and highlight them and do the same thing we did before. We're going to reset them to the world and then center back to the axis. And then we're going to create a copy of both of them. We're going to convert these two to dummies. So that way they are defaulted. And then you're going to convert compound, and you are going to compound both the housing and the glass itself. There we go. So Before we get to the lights still, the last thing that I want to do is I'm going to take this right here. It's to create a box. And I'm going to create a box over the light bar. And it's right down here. I'm going to go into vertex. You don't have to go into vertex. You could be in any mode. But either way, what you want to do is you want it to be covering the light bar itself. So I'm going to move this up to here. Like so. And this is covering pretty good as well. This is going to be our collision box. So with the collision box being made, what I'm going to do is reset it to the world and then center it to itself. I'm actually going to create a copy of it because what it's going to be is the first one is going to be extra 1 collision with the bracket. The second one's going to be siren glass 1 with a collision bracket. This way, nothing will be showing on the vehicle when you toggle it on or off. So if you toggle it off and you don't have these, the lights might be showing, the glass might be showing in game. So you want to make sure you have those collisions as well. So to make it into a collision, everything's turned off. I just click on collision and then convert to compound. And when I turn it off, it's done. So now we have the collisions for these two. So I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to put the siren glass here. I'm going to leave the siren glass last to put in. Actually, I'll just go ahead and put that in here now. And then I'll work on the lights and the setup in there. Next thing I want to do before I forget is, that's right, I have this set up like this. You want to take the light emissive for the vehicle, or for the lights themselves and move them up here so no glass such as like the vehicle's glass is blocking it. If your lights don't work, that's kind of one of the troubleshooting areas you can go to for that. Alright, so with that all being done now we can work on the lights themselves. So as you can see, we have, let's get rid of the glass so you can see the lights better. So as you can see, we have the set of red lights here and we have a set of blue lights here. When you're doing an entire car, the best thing I've found to do before you do any of the sizing or anything like that is to put all your lights and then come up with a game plan on which ones you want to attach to each other and which ones you don't want to attach to each other. So in the case of this car, it's really simple. Nothing is attached to it. It's only going to be one light bar because it's a tutorial car. I'm not going to put a bunch of lights on it. So I'm going to leave all these lights as their own individual module. But if you guys use side lights, trunk lights, front lights, ramp bar lights, stuff like that, you're going to have to plan more and group more lighting together in order to be able to utilize all 20 sirens and not run out of siren IDs, because there's only 20 of them. Really quickly too, trying to pull this up. There you go. I just want to get this prepped for when we move on to this step. So right now, since I only have this light bar and this is going to be my one and only bar, I'm going to go ahead and start detaching all of the lights. So you're going to select detach, quad, so you can highlight it, and then I'm going to just zoom in temporarily here just so it's easier for me to see. And right now what I'm doing is I'm detaching every single light module here, and you can see it in the hierarchy over here. It's building up as well. Gotta wait for that stupid autosave. So, going back to my original Non ELS video, the original one that I made, to be honest, I got lucky that it worked on the first try. And ever since then, I've learned a lot more so I can better understand and better explain how to do this and get to what you want here. So, what I'm going to do is I gotta take all these blue ones off now. I gotta take all these blue ones off, and then I'll show you how all of this works as far as like getting the rotations correct, and as well as like the easiest way I found to do it. Again, it's not the right way, but it's the easiest way that works for me. Okay, so we have all of our lights taken apart now. I'm gonna go ahead and go back into my 4 views here. When you go to properties and you highlight all of them, make sure the scale is like this, 1.0 for all of them, which in this case it is. then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to reset to world. And if you reset to world, it might change. So you might have to change that and then do it again. And then you go like this. And then you go to reset to world, and then it would stay as 1.0. I've noticed that if you have something within a hierarchy, like these lights, the scaling sometimes doesn't work. So what I find that works easily is I'll go to, I can't do it because they're unlinked now. I'll take all of my lights out of the hierarchy, and I'll go to linking, and I'll say unlink, and what it'll do is it'll move it out of the hierarchy to the furthest point right here. And then I'll do this reset to world setup here like so. So I get my scaling done. Okay, so now that that's done, each one of these lights is going to be its own siren ID. To make things easy for me, I like to work just left to right. So I'm going to call this siren 1. We'll call this siren 2. Let's just copy that real quick just so I'm not sitting here typing so much. 3, 4, 5. I probably should have made that the front, or I should have kept the numbers going to the front, but that's okay. And then this is going to be 8. This is where blue starts. That's not 9. It's probably way down here. Yep. I'm going to move it up here just for the sake of remembering. Whoops. We need the corner. There we go. 10. 11. Again, you only get 20 of these, so if you're working with a lot of lights, you're going to have to really plan out how you want this to work. And if you're going to make them as extras like I have, you have to make sure like you're not turning off one thing and it turns it off somewhere else too where you don't want it to turn off. So you got to be really careful in your planning here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to fix the hierarchy just so it's easier to see. It's in numeric order here because, you know, OCD stuff. Okay, there we go. So we have all of our lights set up here. They're all numbered. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to save it just so the autosave doesn't catch me, is you need to move the dummies only, or the access for these, into a position that it's going to reduce down and it's going to hide it. So for this light bar, since it's all going to be, they're all going to be individual lights, I don't need to worry about them warping to other parts of the car, because it's like, if something's attached to the rear bumper that's attached up here, it's going to warp to the center of it if you don't move the axis. So you're going to have to move the axis and hide it. Like a good place I find is like in and behind rear seats, because nobody takes those off or do anything with them and they don't destroy. Or like in a sun visor or the headliner, stuff like that. Just you're looking basically for hiding spots, so when the lights are not turned on, you can't see them in the car. So in the case of this though, we're just going to hide it within the light bar. So that's actually really simple to do. What you're going to do is make sure you have your axis or your moving tool set like this. You're going to go to move. You're going to go to options and you're going to say move axis only. This way, when you move the axis only, see the axis is moving and not the mesh itself. If I turn off that, it's going to move the lights as well as the axis, and you don't want that till after you're done with it. So in the case of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the, actually, this is usually how I do it. So I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to just select these. Whoops, forgot one. I'm going to move them back so they reduce down into the back of the light bar, or back into the light bar. These are going to reduce down from the front. These ones are going to reduce down from the side, which I'll put the corner one there, and I'll put this corner one here. For these ones, I'm going to have them reduced down to there, and I'm going to have this one reduced down to here. Okay, and if I turn on the light bar, you can see all of it is reducing down within it, so it should be okay. You might have to play with it a little bit to get it to work correctly and reduce down into the correct spot. So now that I have all these done, what you're going to do is you're going to highlight everything. This should all stay the same, so it won't matter. You're going to create a copy of it. So we're going to create a copy. You're going to take your first copy of everything. So we have Siren 1 through 14 and then 1 through 14 again. That's our copy. So you're going to take all of these and you're going to convert them to a dummy. So now those are just dummies. You're going to go ahead and turn those off because you don't need them for the time being. Next is the scaling. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. It's my notes. Here we go. So I'm going to drag it over here for you guys. This is kind of a guide for you guys on how certain things are with this. So we'll go over this part in the carcals more, but this is the code to get blue environmental lighting. This is the code to get red environmental lighting. This is the code for white, and I noted on it that it's very overpowering because it is. It's very bright, the white is, for environmental lighting. This is for your amber lights or TAA or traffic advisor lights. That's the coding for that. Now we have two different sets of sizing. In my old video, this is how I used to size my lights at 0.5. That is the default size for Rockstar. So if you were doing a replacement car, you want to size down your lights by 0.5. Since this is going to be an add-on car, I reduce it down to 0.1 because it's easier to hide. That's the new 2021 way that I do this. Well, I've actually been doing it for a while, but between the last tutorial and this one, that's how I've been doing it. This over here we'll get into more, but this is how it is read in the carcals to understand how it scales up. I'll show you guys how that works as well. So, all that being said, since this is going to be an add-on car and I'm not replacing anything, I'm going to reduce each one of these sizes down to 0.1, and you're just going to wipe out the rest of it and then hit apply. So now all of the lights have reduced down. If I turn on extra one, yep, you shouldn't be able to see it unless you zoom in and clip through it. You can see all the lights are in there, but you can't see them from the outside. That's how it should look. So now that that's done, these lights are all set up and ready to go. I just need to convert the dummy and put them in a hierarchy here. So I'm going to do that for all of these. Oops. And don't get discouraged if this doesn't work on the first go around. You'll have to play around with it for a bit, and then you'll kind of get the hang of like how far it reduces stuff down and whatnot. And if you do make a mistake, it's very simple to do. Just undo what you did and before you close out of it. And then it should all go back to the way that it was. You won't have to reset to world and redo all that again. If you do mess up on something and you already made a copy and when you reduce it down, you notice that it's not in the correct spot. When you do go to fix it, you're going to need to also fix the dummy one as well. It needs to follow the same access position. So keep that in mind as well. If you reduce it down and you're like, oh no, that's still showing, that's not going to work. Just undo it to where it gets reduced back up in size and then move it as well as the Siren ID that's the dummy that goes with it into a different spot because those need to match or it's not going to do anything. It's just going to still be messed up there. Alright, there we go. So all of our sirens are done. They're all done here. So this is what I do. Again, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but this is something I do just to make my lights brighter. I select all my lights. I go into vertex mode. I select this. The lining, as you see there, it's not really projecting it out. If I click this, now it's projecting out even more. So I'm assuming it intensifies it when you do that. Don't hold me to it. It's just something I do, and I notice that my lights look better when I do that. So we have all of the Siren IDs done, and They are all compounded. They're all good to go. They just need to go in the hierarchy here, and then they're finally done. I'm going to go ahead and move the takedown in there because I forgot to do it. Now, this is the last part before we end this tutorial. The way that you want the light to project on the environment, you can control it in two ways. One, you can control it in the carpals, or, well, part of it is controlled in the carpals, but if you want it to where the mesh is lined up as well, you can also move the mesh within the carpals. What I like to do, personally, is I leave the lights alone like this, and I just rotate the axis to the way I want it to. So I'm going to show you, again, this is the way I do it. You don't have to do it this way. There's multiple ways to do it, but this is the way that I prefer to do it. So I'm going to show you my way here. So looking at the lights here, these are the corner lights, obviously. This is all the rears, and these are the corner lights over here, and this is the front. So what you want to do, and you're going to want this in preparation for the carpals, is where do you want the environmental lighting to be projecting for each one? In the case of these, I want them to project out the way they're facing, so at the corner like this. For the ones in the back, I want them to project the environmental lighting out the back. The ones in the front, I want them to project out the front. So there's a few ways, well, not a few ways. This is the way that I do this. What you want to do is make sure you turn pivot off, because if you don't turn it off, it's going to rotate out of the space, and then you're going to mess up and your light's not going to look correctly. So make sure pivot is turned off down here. I go to rotate, I click in here, and you're going to want to turn off rotate geometry. If you have rotate geometry on, it's going to rotate the mesh. You can do that too, but I prefer not to, because I just spent all this time finding a spot to hide the light when the emergency lights aren't turned on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off rotate geometry. You want to keep rotate axis on because it's going to rotate these axes here. So these lights in the back, I want the environmental lighting to project to the back. So I'm going to highlight all of them. I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard, and it's asking me how I want to rotate it. Since I want it to face backwards, and after you reset it, it's facing forwards, I want to do 180 degrees. So now those are facing 180 degrees backwards. The ones that are facing forward are already set up to face forward, so I'm not too worried about them for the time being. So I'm going to leave them as they are. These side lights, I do want to project out as corners. These, just spoiler alert, the two in the rear I haven't mastered completely, so more than likely they're not going to look correct when I go in game, but you'll get the idea based off of everything else. So when you're doing the rotation on a corner like this, you don't want to do a full 180 or a 90 degree for a side one, because it's going to a corner. So the halfway point between that is 45. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the one over here, hold control. I'm going to type -45. Okay, so now this should be projecting this way. This is on the driver's side of the car. You want to do negatives because it's going towards this on the driver's side, and positives on the passenger side, at least for these. These ones back here, I'm sure that's what you're supposed to do too, but I probably don't do it the correct way. So what I'm going to do back here is I'm going to do -45, and now it's facing the same way, but I want to do 180 because instead of it doing this, I want it to do this. I hope I got that right. This might not be right, so don't follow that step just in case. Over here, on the passenger side, I'm not going to do negative. I'm going to do +45, and then I'm going to do +180, just because that's where I want it to go. Actually, now that I think about it, I want this to be -45. I probably want this to be -180. I don't think that matters, but it's... There we go. And then we're going to do 45 here, and then we're going to do 180 here. This one, we're going to do 45. These ones I'm pretty confident will work correctly. It's the ones in the rear that I don't do a lot, so it could be wrong and it could not be working. If it doesn't work, it's a very simple fix. When you test it in your game, if it's not working, just come in here. Usually it's either a 90 or a 180 degree turn that you need to make. If you're not sure, just do it in increments of 90 and eventually you'll get it correctly. So with that all being done, now our light lights are set up for the carcels for when we create those for these for this light bar, and it's going to project the lights out the correct way we want it to. So I move the lights within the hierarchy here, and then I'm going to move the hierarchy or the light bar hierarchy into the car one. And that's it. And then from there, we're going to export our model like you guys seen countless times. I'm lazy. I don't do LODs anymore. There is a tutorial on how I used to do LODs, but again, I'm lazy and don't do LODs anymore. So I just do it like this. Okay. So in the next video that I do, we're going to go over the carcels, and in that video, I'll show you guys how you set up your carcels for how you have your light bar set up. So you're going to need Zmodeler, and you're going to need an editing software such as Notepad. In my case, I like to use Notepad Plus because it also has a micro in it that will check to see if maybe you don't have coding correctly, like if you got a missing bracket or a quotation or anything. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video or tutorial for Non ELS in 2021 and how I do it. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought. If you have any questions, again, like I said in the spotlight video, feel free to leave them in the comments section. I try to answer them all. If you don't want to leave it in the comments section, there in the description you'll see a link to my Discord, and to my Discord there is a section for help, and one of the members in the community that have already joined or myself will try to chime in and help you out too as well if you need it. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the carcels tutorial. Till then, take care.